Welcome to Silicon Valley Life. In each episode, you'll get an insider's look at what makes Silicon Valley special, how people pursue ideas, deal with failure, and enjoy life. You can find this show on all the major platforms, including YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on our website, concordiaventures.com. Now, here are the hosts of Silicon Valley Life, Naeem, Zafar, and Meena Meyyappan.
Well, hello everyone. Good to see you back in our live episode. Meena, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm so glad we're back on Silicon Valley Life again.
Yeah,
It's going to be exciting. We got lots to share, right, Naeem?
lots to share indeed. And because this is also our finale, last episode of the season one, we are discussing and planning season two, but at least this is our 12th episode, end of season one, and a lot has happened in the last 2-3 weeks. And I think we have things to share, we have topics to discuss. I was telling Meena that I was in Portugal doing a workshop about being a CEO coach. The program finished. It was a 6 months long program. Then I was in Turkey on a seaside resort. Totally wonderful. Hillside was rated #1 European resort, so that was excellent to be there. And then I went to Burning Man,
Wow. Woo-hoo.
which I've been thinking about for many, many years, that what exactly is it? Because nobody could describe it.
Right.
So I just returned from that, and that was something else.
So this naturally leads into a topic, Naeem, that we should be talking about. Apart from sharing experiences in a bit, it really comes down to introspecting the career journeys, right? So if you really look at it, Naeem, like we've all had most people in Silicon Valley had rich careers, right? They have extremely rich careers, but nobody plans for things that they can do outside of work. It's very focused on work, work, and work. And who are you outside of work, and how is it that you could do many other things, right? I think that's a question fundamentally is what is coming to my mind when I listen to all the things that you have done organically while making it part of your, the other career that you have, the alternative career you have. It's a topic I really would like to get started on, Naeem. So how did you go on this journey of looking at alternative things you could be doing other than the tech career that you had?
So the idea is, see, most people talk about work-life balance. It's
Mhm.
like an elusive goal. The question is, if you can integrate the two, so you have a life, with life which includes work, includes adventure, includes family and friends. They're not fighting with each other. They integrated, they live together. That's
Mhm.
the way I started viewing my life about 20 years ago. So
Right.
if I'm going to a business trip to Japan, you finish the work on Friday, you take a 6 p.m. flight, you arrive in Hawaii Friday morning, 8 a.m. So now you can spend Friday, Saturday, Sunday in Hawaii and still make it back on the weekend. That became normal. If you're going to China, why not take the side trip to Mongolia for 3 days? So by not separating that, I'm going to wait till I have a big trip, like 3 weeks long, and I'm going to do all these things, that becomes an elusive goal. So if we integrate various things with each other, it becomes not a struggle, not a fight, but it's an integrated life. What's your view on this? What have you done? I think you still see them two different things to be balanced.
Yeah. I think I have the opposing view to you, right? I struggle with the integrations. I, I fundamentally I grew up with a British schooling system, so normally have been taught to segregate work and who I am outside of work. It's a very normal division, as we call it. And
Hmm.
what I found is, as I'm going through the valley, everybody was doing that. So I just normally like, okay, this is it. Work is work, and then there is life outside of it. And I waited for those big vacations. I'm the kind that have done 2 month vacations. I'll disconnect completely from work, and I would travel Asia, and I would take pictures, and I would spend a lot of time in a lot of different countries. So that was me. I completely disconnect, take 2 months. I'm not involved at work. So as a result, I would say that this is a part a lot of Valley people struggle with, because so much of my life, 80%, because I wait for that, moment, as you call it, or the big vacation, as you call it in this case. we struggle with something. Who are you outside of work? I think it becomes the disease that we all have.
But let's drill down one level deeper. If you are a bricklayer, or you are the one who dispenses, something at a retail store, when you're gone for a month or 2 months, you
Mhm.
come back. There is no disruption. You start laying the brick again. You stop dispensing the clothes. You stop doing whatever. But if you're a founder CEO, when you go for a month, all the things which needs to be done don't disappear. They accumulate. And as they accumulate, they become source of stress. When do you sleep easy? When your inbox is cleaned out.
Yeah.
If you're gone for a month, your inbox is a mess. You're not enjoying. You're worrying about all the things that will be going wrong. So I think it does depend what kind of job do you have and where you are in your career. There's no concept of big vacation. I can never take a big vacation, but I took it once when I sold my company, Bits and Mobile. And before I started the next company, there was about 1 month when I did go to Eastern Europe because I had nothing to do.
Yeah.
But that's such a rare moment.
I agree with you. And I think you said this correctly. Now let's tease it a little bit apart, right? There is the startup life where it's very, very difficult to get this, like extended period of time. So what you talked about is much easier. Integrating both is the most successful part. Now let's come into this bigger companies or enterprises as we call them, right? Very different experience, I would say. So it gets very challenging to integrate work and life because work just spills over. The role becomes very attached to who you are. You become addicted to the roles, and they do things to create the addiction to the role. So you're always connected and you don't know how to disconnect. Right.
Well, I think this is again becomes a management issue. So
Hmm.
I coach several CEOs and we talk about another executive about that. But there are techniques and rules so you can manage. Once you realize you have to manage, this is your circumstances. I call it APS, appreciating the present state.
Hmm.
You're in this present state when the work is keep piling up. It will keep piling up unless you define the boundary. So at one point, I was in this stage in a big company.
Right.
My email signature said my name, my phone number, and only checking emails at 11 a.m. and 5 p.m. That was part of my email signature. I'm setting an expectation. If you want me in between, I'm not going to be responding. Goodbye. And when somebody complains, I say, yeah, well, look at my email signature.
I
And
like
so,
that.
so I think it's all about training people how to work with you. Because if you don't, they will keep piling things onto you.
Yeah. And you don't know when to say no. And
You
saying
don't,
no is a very difficult thing.
it could become a very difficult thing, but even then, it is up to you. I mean, how many times, if you said, look, I love to do this project, but it can't be done by Monday, you may want to give it to somebody else. It'll take me till Thursday, and I can do following 6 things, but not all 11. Just say that. People don't say that. People just say they curse, they try to do it, they miss it, they complain, they say, I got sick. Just say it.
Hmm.
When I was CEO, I don't know how much somebody is capacity. I'll keep overloading them till they tell me I'm overloaded. Then I'll say, okay, sounds good.
Okay, I'm going to play the devil's advocate to you. So, say that you keep loading, and it's a bad economy, a bad environment like we've had in the pandemic, right? I will feel obligated because if I don't say something, you'll give the work to somebody else, and then I become irrelevant. Is the mindset that starts
Yeah.
imprinting that you make yourself very, very much available so people know to come to you all the time, and saying no puts the responsibilities elsewhere. So
Yeah.
there are some different ways to address this, but how would you address that, Naeem?
By address that by things I'm committing to do a better job than anybody else could do. That's how you make yourself relevant. Number two, by being clearly articulating what you can do, will do, willing to do, and not beat around the bush. A good manager appreciates it. Of
Hmm.
course, there are bad managers who may not appreciate it, and then you may think about switching the manager or switching the company. But my point is, by ruining your life, your mental health, being a bitter, crusty person, is not the right answer. Own your life, manage it, set the rules. I have lived that life, and I know people who have lived that life. It is possible. Is it hard? Well, it's harder for the new generation. It is harder for them. They don't know how to deal with this. And that's where you and I, both of us coach people. You coach the technology leaders, I coach the CEOs. That's what we tell people. So have you not taken that advice yourself someplace?
I think I have learned my failures and I've taken the advice very much later in my career. Early part was like the type A personality. I can do it. Why do
Yeah.
you need it? Was not even worried about loss of a job. It's like I can do it.
Yeah.
I'm capable. And then I see myself fully flooded to the neck. And I still, you can keep piling and I'll still keep challenging to finish it. That's what
So
it
let's
was.
let's double down on that answer.
Mm.
So the thing is, how do you define yourself? What is your definition of success? It plays into that. If you define yourself differently, then your outcome, what your body will feel joy with will be different. You're defining yourself to be super doer, get things done, check things off the box, yay. But that definition can be changed, and only you're the only one who can change it.
Absolutely agree with you. So my second name was execution. You need anything that is so difficult to carry out, you give it to me. Right. I take any challenge and I will pull it through. But practically from my experiences, that did not take me anywhere in my career. It just kept me flatlined, right? I would always be at this level because I'm so useful, but no one thought about other qualities of growing me in my career, right? That's the first thing. Second thing is I didn't have a life, right? I mean, I could have had a much more integrated life, as you call that. I did not have that much of an integrated life. Everything swung around work, right?
Yeah.
Very early days on career, if you really took it, your friends came out of work, your network was your work. So I come from the PayPal days where it was easy to network, live around work.
Yeah.
So that became the patterns that were imprinted on me very early in my career. And as I went through and I realized, oh my God, the system is broken. It doesn't exist. What I lived in was a vacuum of PayPal. I mean, PayPal was very unique in a lot of ways in the culture. So I felt like, oh, I don't belong anywhere. I always struggled to attach myself to work. I was looking to attach myself to work and I couldn't find it. I struggled. And so I became a little bit of a rebel because I was looking for it at work. So I would be very difficult to deal with, right? Because I had high expectations. I literally would be, like challenging everybody rather than looking at the environment. How do you fit in and then take people on the journey?
Yeah.
So yes, I struggled. But I learned organically with failures, right? And then it took me many jumps and hops to realize that, okay, this is not what I'm looking for.
Yeah. So just to make sure that we also stay true to our topic, what are some of the topics on your mind you wanted to bring up today in the last episode?
My last the takeaway, we've been talking about mentorship and we talked a little bit of Silicon Valley life. What we were talking about is something that I wanted to emphasize, right? People get stuck up at work and there's so much more to life than just work. And how do you orthogonally build who you are out of work, right? I mean, or integrated, as you want to call it. So I think that's my takeaway for everybody of the listeners here. Don't attach everything you have and your persona to work because it comes with a lot of problems and it's not something that you can be, like achieve all the time. So how do you plan for your integrated career? It takes time.
Yeah.
It's a mind shift and it takes time.
Yeah. And sooner you can do it, more happier you become, and you become at peace with yourself and your environment, and you are productive, you're more approachable. A lot of good things happen.
And part of a name is also financial planning for yourself, right? I mean, it's because you can't integrate everything and expect the same sort of financial outcomes. So it's planning for the worst case scenario also, right? Because it gives you, this is a part I think that's been holding me back also. Apart from the fact I like solving challenges, what holds me back is my finances all the time. And not knowing, what it means to live that alternative life has been a struggle for me.
So this is a good topic to spend a few minutes on because I teach a course called investments at the university, and part of the course is to how do you become financially independent? And answer is the simple answer. I mean, it could be the topic is if from the day one when you get employed, if you start putting away 20% of your gross income away in investments, whether it's 401k, IRA, or Roth, it could be combination, 20%. Then you don't have to feel guilty about spending the rest. Enjoy yourself, spend the money because you're not guilty. 20% is the magic number of gross. and it's automatic deduction. And you invest that in broad, I'll just say two indexes. QQQ, which is the largest 100 companies on NASDAQ, mostly technology companies, and SPY, which is the 500 biggest company in Standard & Poor 500. These two companies, you have a little bit of Microsoft, a little bit of NVIDIA, a little bit of Chevron, and all that. If you use that consistently over 30, 40 years, this will not be your issue. So I started doing that early. That has allowed me to, not be as worried and struggle as many of my colleagues are. So I don't know what approach you took. Probably something else, knowing you.
Yeah. No, that was not the way I looked at it. I mean, investments were always part of my job. I did that organically, whether I get up in the morning. I have a little bit of a financial background, so I was always investing, so I never looked at. So that money existed, but that was not what was my issue. My
Okay.
issue was not getting that paycheck.
All right.
That hefty paycheck was a disease, right? And so I'm attached to the hefty paychecks. And so anytime I will say what happens is indirectly I'm attached to work, the paycheck, and
Yeah.
anytime that I'm in between jobs, I have to switch, it adds a lot of stress. This is what I call, like, it took me a while to figure it out, right? And this is what most people in Silicon Valley struggle with.
Well, good news, I never caught that disease because as a startup CEO, I was already in some really terribly low salary. I never got to enjoy any fat paychecks. Mostly, for many years, I was taking no salary, or my salary was $10,000 a year. And
Right.
then, of course, when you get funded, you got some more salary, but it was never a huge paycheck. So I never caught that disease.
You're so lucky because a majority of the Silicon Valley, 50, 60% in tech, has this disease.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that's the struggle that I want to leave on this podcast as we end it for this season, is like, don't get addicted to it. It's work to get away from it, but it's possible. And it's eye-opening once you can see beyond that paycheck, I would say.
Yeah, yeah. Because people live a larger life than they really should. You're getting paid $500,000, you live a $500,000 life. If you can right size your life to some number between 100K and 200K, then you can escape the disease possibly. But it's so tempting not to escape. Yeah.
It's very tempting. And then people talk about Silicon Valley. It's a rat race in some ways, right? To be honest, it's truly a rat race. I mean, we always see it in movies, but if you live in the valley, your neighbor buys a car and then you feel like, oh my God, I don't have this car. I feel so not part of the neighborhood. Or somebody adds an addition to the kitchen in some cases, and you're like, oh my God, they got a fabulous kitchen. So it is truly attached. All these things come together. It's a package. Silicon Valley is a package. It's a true package. Comes with finances, comes with the rat race, it comes with an addiction to a job, and then it leaves you like not as a whole person if you're not careful enough, right?
Yeah. So part of this thing is again, I know I just came back from Burning Man. You're going to a salon, I hear. What is a
Right.
salon, and why are you going there?
Yes. So let's talk about it. This is called intertwining work and life, right? Like you mentioned.
Yeah.
Sun is place for wellness, right? It's to get away from the noise and the buzz. Because I feel like I'm always awake. My mind's always 100 miles ahead of me. I want some time and space to quieten it down and just take the moment for what it is, because nothing else is there. There's no tech, right? You're looking for a tech-free zone where your mind is just in beautiful nature, and then you're kind of tuned out to everything else.
So this is like a retreat, like a yoga retreat or a sanctuary. I know it's in Big Sur. That's all I know. It's
So
right in New York.
it's a beautiful institute. It's like a retreat. You can use it for a retreat. You can also just sign up personally and go in there. And they offer different wellness programs. Yoga is part of it. Then there's the spas and the saunas, but they also have things like, Reiki readings, astrology, a little bit of fun things. And they also do sacrocranial therapy, all the alternative wellness therapies.
Right.
That's what we call them.
So I'm sure that'll be lovely. And a Burning Man, I heard about it for the last 20 years. Could
It's
never
all
justify it. Why should I go there? What's exactly
Right.
happened? Nobody could tell me. So this is quite fascinating. It's hard to describe, but 60 to 80,000 people show up in Nevada desert, which is dusty, flat as far as you can see, and it's organized as a semicircular city when money has no meaning.
Right.
Everything is to be gifted. It's structured. There are people are dancing. You lose really the sense of time, appointment, money. It's like that does not even make any sense.
Yeah.
And how you look, what you're wearing. So this extreme self-expression, extreme gifting and giving, and everybody seems to be so much happier, approachable. The music goes on till about 6 in the morning, and people are dancing. There's so much art in the middle of the desert which you can visit, explore. There's a temple where people leave notes and pictures of loved ones, which burns in the very last night. And it's a complete silence. Hush falls over as 20, 30, 40,000 people watch the burn happen. It's quite a spiritual experience, quite amazing.
So let me ask you a few things, Naeem. You come from this busy world, right? I mean, where everything is done transactionally. In the Silicon Valley and around here, we're very transactional. Gig economy, transaction, things like that. And you're going to a community that's like funding itself, right? Money has lesser value in there. What is that shift, mindset shift? Does it, when you come out from that, do you think that we have really lopsided everything in our day-to-day living around money and transactions?
So I did not feel a big shift. I
Mhm.
appreciated that when I was there. I appreciate this when I'm here. But I do know so many people who come back, they find it transformational. They have seen the other side of the universe and they liked it. But for me, I can, the APS, I live what called appreciating the present state. To me, that was the present state. I was chill. I was not worried about appointment, not worried anything. I was mingling, I was talking. And then I came to this universe.
Yeah.
But having experienced that universe was enriching. That this can exist. The same people who are all honking at you in the traffic
Mhm.
and generally annoyed with their life can be chill, happy, beautiful, approachable. Yeah, nice.
You raise a fundamental question. Money is the motivating factors of a communities and how it changes people's behaviors.
Yeah. So it's how somebody's described it that capitalism really works well
Hmm.
when there's a scarcity.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because if there's scarcity of something, a capital, you can create that product and
Right.
people will pay you for that. Now, interesting part this my friend brought up was what if there was abundance?
Hmm.
Will capitalism still work if there was abundance? Everything was there and gifted? That's very interesting. Very interesting. And that's what Burning Man ethos are.
Yeah.
So,
Very quickly, if you said everything was in abundance, so many different things would be non-existent in our outside world. Yeah.
yeah, but you see, the human body gets comfortable with this is what we got. This is the environment. And can we not enjoy this? So I think it's a state of mind. Some people will be annoyed with the dust, lack of good toilets, the temperature, the air conditioning, ice. Ice is suddenly become the most precious commodity.
Yeah.
But then you realize, no, this is life. That's the planet I'm living in. Hallelujah.
Right. So now moving away, when you came back from Burning Man, did you crave any particular type of food? Now you were living off of very scrungy amount of food. What did you crave? What did you go straight down into?
Funny you should ask. Short answer, French fries. That's the first thing I wanted. Yeah.
Oh, no.
I know it's not smart, it's not wise, but like, yeah, where are the French
French
fries?
fries it is. Yeah, I agree
Yeah.
with you. So tell us a little bit, shifting a little bit gears onto food and experiences a little bit as we round up everything in Silicon Valley. We talk a little bit of everything. Tell us a little bit about your trip to Turkey and all the good food that you tasted out there. Something unique that you might want to share.
So I think Turkey is quite a fascinating place because of the history and whatnot. So landed in Istanbul, drove the car to Ephesus, which the ruins from 1100 BC.
Hmm.
When so those ruins are quite fascinating. And then drove down to Fethiye. And this resort on the Aegean Sea is perfect. It's a cove with the hills. It's called hillside, greenery. It is kind of all inclusive type that food, but it's a Michelin star quality food. It's not like just minimum food. So
Wow.
so so you have a beautiful room with a veranda, water. It's the right temperature. You go swimming in the sea. You have pool, of course, and if all the meals are available, so you really do chill. Now, of course, for me, integrated life, I'll wake up at 5.
Hmm.
I will check all my emails and get caught up by 7:30. Go to yoga at 8 o'clock, breakfast at 9, some swimming, some chores, catch up on email during lunch. It all worked out.
I feel like you have a calendar. I have no calendars. That's the difference. I think people are different. I just can't live with that kind of structured, like this is, like
It was no structure because none of this was a deadline. If you want to sleep later, sleep later. If you want to skip yoga, skip yoga. So this is a framework, not a structure. You can
yeah,
enter or you don't have to enter.
I like
That's integrated life. Yeah,
I'm still trying to get the taste of integrated life, so I have to make fun to really make sure I understand it all.
yeah, yeah.
Um, Coming down to that, any fun events that you've been around lately, other than Burning Man?
So I think the semester started at University of California, Berkeley, at Northeastern. A lot of activity going on with there. Lots of teaching a new course on AI in business, which is quite fascinating, and plan to have several interesting people speak at the class. But I'll be teaching a few workshops with one with youth, one with women. So those are kind of fun things to do. There are some interesting it's an AI conference going on today and tomorrow in Palo Alto, which I really wanted to go, but schedule did not permit. A lot of good speakers. But I'm really digging down to see how is AI going to shape us in business. What are the use cases which are really taking shape? A lot of hype, but what's real? What will we see and enjoy and use by end of the year this year? So
I don't know about end of this year, but I'll share something very interesting that might surprise you. So they're using AI inside your skins, inside your body. You're doing nanobots for cancer research
Mhm.
that can, using AI, target cancerous cells and kill them on the spot. So it's a
Really?
like little bot that's running around. They're doing some kind of research with it. I thought that was so cool because we're talking about robotics indirectly here. It is AI and robotics together, which is the next generation. It's
Yeah.
just not about AI. AI has become more like a mainstream application now, right? The next level of using it in robotics and helping the human society is more interesting, if you ask me. And I found this use case really, really interesting because cancer has been a disease that people struggle with. I mean, so many people you hear cancer, this and that, right? And as they get a little bit older, so getting ahead of that and with technology is amazing.
No, I think you're right. Robotics is an area which has come back alive. There's so many use cases. What you mentioned is extremely interesting. Question is, how does it work? How about the nano robots, and what role does AI play in this? I can see them being targeting and attacking cells, but then how do they flush themselves out? But I'm sure there are answers to all these questions. I just don't know them. But robotics there as well as everywhere is going
Right.
to be huge, because as you know, the in many countries the population is declining. The
Yes.
lack of working age people. I mean, there's no reason for humans to be putting up with, let's say, road construction,
Right.
110 degrees temperature, lifting heavy things, moving them around. Robots are so much good at doing all that stuff. So this is just an obvious example: construction, road construction, whatnot. But we're going to see them in elderly care when you have to carry and move people around. We're going to see them in kitchen. Uh,
Right.
it'll become so. I think the next 5 to 10 years will be tremendously interesting.
Yeah, I think that's the next wave, really. I think people are already starting to focus on that. So kind of rounding up our Silicon Valley thing, right? The next innovation is really in the robotics space, I
Yeah,
think, for now.
yeah. I think robotics and then coupled with AI, which will give us some intelligence, able to have agents. These all things go towards simplifying our life. And imagine if the farmer can take care of the food production with half the labor cost, if taxis can operate.
Independently of a human, yeah.
So this addressed the population decline problem in the Western Europe and China and Japan and Korea. And US is not suffering as badly because of our immigration policy, but the birth rate among people is down. You need 2.1 births per couple, and right now we're at 1.38. But because of immigration and other things, our overall number is 2.3, which is positive. Japan is 1.2. Yeah, Europe overall is 1.4, so they have much bigger problems.
Yeah, they have aging generation problems that I've read a lot about and how they're
Yeah.
trying to bridge those gaps. Yeah.
Yeah, so right now we talk about immigration. Wait 15 to 20 years. People will giving cash incentive to Mike, please immigrate to my country. Yeah,
No, I see that happening very soon. I've seen the story of Japan. If you see how all the houses are vacant now, right? Not enough buyers being,
yeah,
abandoned, stuff like that. If you see in the news, very
yeah,
interesting to see when you don't have the right birth rate, the impact to the economy and the people.
yeah. And for China, it's a self-created problem with one-child policy, so they're going to suffer
Yeah.
tremendously. So, short answer to all but this last 5 minutes is technology to the rescue.
Yeah. And
With
especially AI
robotics,
and robotics. Yeah.
robotics and AI, that's how we keep the human race relevant and thriving.
And then on the lighter side, I'm betting the next revolution is around food or communities.
Yeah. So yeah, this is interesting. So sometime I give a talk about this. How do you see the future?
Mhm.
And my answer is future is prettier than you may realize because we all migrated to cities and created the traffic problem, the pollution problem. Why? Because that's where the people were, that's where the jobs were, that's where the restaurants were, entertainment was. So we put up with all that to have that city life. Now with technology, I can imagine a communities of 5 to 10,000 people, rural, with water, with serenity, without traffic lights. Well, entertainment could be piped in, food could be locally grown and not transported from other continents, and able to work productively using the technology we have. It's all pieces are here.
Yeah.
And there people are beginning to build those communities. So that's if you look at 20 years out view, I can see something which French have known for many years. They work about 30 hours a week and have a high quality of life and still seems to be happier than everybody else.
I'd agree with you. I'm waiting for that day.
Yeah,
Waiting for that day. I want to be part of that revolution. I want to be ahead of that.
yeah. So being Mr. Optimistic, I see that coming and I'm looking forward to enjoying it.
So that's a nice way to wrap up our Silicon Valley, last episode. And anything else to share, Naeem?
No,
Last
I think this is
parting
good.
thought?
I look forward to planning our season 2 and I look forward to hearing from all of you. So people who are watching and people who may be live watching and later watching. Again, Meena and I both work with people, leaders. She's focused on technology leaders. I'm focused on business leaders and CEOs and executives. We both coach clients and help them succeed. Our only purpose is to be the sounding board. And our purpose is that it's not we're going to teach you something you don't know. You got here because you know the stuff. Our thing is we widen your field of view. So you can spot things which were right next to you, may not have time to look at them. Or being a sounding board, a perspective. Both of us do that. She does that for technology leaders. I do that for business leaders. And that is could be tremendously useful.
So do look up Concordia Ventures website because we're a full package. And what is the difference? A lot of people do mentorships, there's classes, coaching. The difference is like what I would say in a short sentence is a buddy system. We are your buddies to help you succeed,
Yeah.
right? We help you in a full spectrum from the business side to the technology, and we can help you piece together how to solve problems rather than just focus on a mentorship and like more theoretical aspects of what mentorship is.
Yeah. So we look forward to talking to you again and seeing you again. And thanks for being part of our lives. And we
Yes.
enjoyed having you.
We enjoyed every bit of doing Silicon Valley Live. Look forward to season 2 and keep your ideas coming. What else we could do and topics and shows that you look forward to.
Yeah. If you can't find our emails, Google my name, my email will come up. So it should be easy to find us. Or Zafar@gmail.com. Meena is more private. She doesn't announce her email. Talk right.
Naeem Zafar is the front. I am the behind technology for the business. So
All right. Great to have you guys. See you soon.
see you all soon and have a wonderful evening.
You've been tuning into Silicon Valley Life with your hosts, Naeem Zafar and Meena Meyyappan. You can find this show on all the major platforms, including YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on our website, concordiaventures.com. Thank you for your positive feedback, comments, questions, and for sharing this show with others.